Hello. Okay, so this will be, I guess, the 11th class on it, and for right now, the final class. Today, we're going to go through the story of the akeida as the way it was explained by Rav Yeve, Yaakov Yosef ben Yehuda, who was a student of the Baal Shem Tov, and he explains it in a very spiritual form as the journey of a soul as it comes into the body. And so we will go through it the way he understands it. So normally we read it, as a journey, a physical journey, but here it's actually be the journey of the soul with the body. The Torah is understood on many different levels, of course. There's a common translation and every story has lessons. But there's also many unanswered questions in the stories of Torah. And the reason is because the Torah is not a storybook. And it has much deeper lessons or ideas than the story. And this is a translation of something that's a common story, just to show you another dimension besides what we did the other weeks, just another dimension. There is also another commentary that explains it based in Kabbalah and Tikkun. We're not going to go into that. We'll just do the soul journey as people do relate to the soul journey in a body in one way or another. Now, the Medrash Hanelam on Parshas Lech Lecha states that the soul, the neshama, is called Avraham, Abraham. Before the soul comes into the world, it's shown Gan Eden and Gehenna, which is the possible positive and negative results of what will occur in this world. Then it is given the ability to follow directives, which is Torah means guidance, of the Creator. Then it is sent into this world. And as the first chapter of Tanya explains, that a person is given it. The general translation is you have to swear, but swearing doesn't make much sense there. The word also means to satiate. It's given the powers to be tzaddik, righteous, to make the right decisions and not be rasha, not go the opposite way. Now, the sages also teach us that before a child is born, it's taught the whole Torah, and at birth, it's caused to forget it. In other words, the soul knows everything before it comes here, before it's born, but once it's born, it then has to come into the physical, and it loses its awareness and knowledge that it had on a deeper level. It's still there on a deeper level, but not in the consciousness of where it comes into. Yes?
What's the purpose of learning something just to forget it?
Well, when it says it's taught the whole Torah, what does it mean? See, this is a problem where people take things literally, very exact thing, and there's a problem. What does it mean? It's not actually, there's no one that sits there and teaches like I'm teaching you. Basically, what it means is that the soul is aware of everything, of the whole Torah, before it comes down. And then when it's born, it forgets that awareness. It's blocked from that awareness. That's what it means. But the words they use is that it's taught the whole Torah before and forgets her birth. And that's a very good example of something where they often use words that are very physical, but doesn't describe exactly the situation. Okay? What?
I don't want to take up.
So what's the problem?
I don't understand.
What don't you understand? How a soul is aware of everything before it's born? What don't you understand?
What you just said.
What I said is that a soul is aware of everything before it's born, before it comes into the body. Once it's born, it's blocked from that awareness. So it doesn't remember what it was aware of. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. The way the sages say it is that the child is taught the whole Torah before it's born, and it forgets it when it's born. That's the way they say it. That's all. So if you get stuck on the words they use, you'll never understand what they're talking about. But if you stand back a bit, you understand they're talking about a spiritual thing. They're just using some type of physical format to say it.
What I'm having difficulty with is why something, why the soul or the spirit would be taught the whole Torah.
I didn't say it's taught the whole
No, I'm
Torah.
not saying what you
I
said.
said
I'm
I said that
interpreting it the way
it knows,
I
it's
didn't
aware
know.
of everything. Yes, it knows. It's an awareness, a knowledge. It's not taught anything. That's just the verbiage they use because they're talking to people
Okay,
that don't
it's
understand the
okay.
soul and physical things.
It's aware of the
Right.
Torah. But what would be the purpose of making something aware of something and then coming into another realm?
No one's making anyone aware of everything. When you're spiritual, you just are aware. When you know something, do you know it?
Yes.
Does someone have to tell you something you know?
No.
So how do you know it? You just know it, right?
Right.
That's exactly what it is. It just knows. It's a universal knowledge, part of the world, and so it knows it. No one's teaching it. But in order to explain to people who don't know what a soul is, they say it's taught. But to give them a perspective. Whatever. Yeah.
Are you saying more like the soul, the spirit, the intellect is aware of right and wrong, or the existence of heaven and earth?
No, right and wrong is something that's physical. Okay? It's not a soul thing. Therefore, before the soul comes down, it's shown that there is an aspect of right and left, right and wrong, of that the actions that are in the physical, they lead to different conclusions. So it's shown that because on its own it doesn't, it has no idea of right and wrong. It's just not part of its world. It's just shown about the world that it's coming into. That's all.
I don't understand something. How is it that the embryo in gestation has this spiritual awareness, and then the moment it's born, it's taken away? I mean, I would think that now that now that the soul is in a physical form, it's with the embryo that it would know that it would be already blocked.
What do you want to say?
It's not the embryo, it's the soul that has this knowledge. You're combining two things and say it's part of the embryo. Once the child is born, the soul, let's say with the soul, is blocked from remembering what it knew before that time period. Is that correct?
Before even conception.
Okay, do you know anything about the soul? Do you or don't you?
Um,
Have you ever seen a soul? Have you ever spoken? Do you know what a soul is?
I know what a soul is. But I mean, I can't say that I've ever seen a soul.
Okay. In other words, you know zero about a soul other than it exists. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's why you're going to have a problem trying to figure out how it does, what it does, because you can't conceptualize it. It's not something you can visualize, that's something you can comprehend. It's not in your world. That's why the sages just said the soul is taught everything, because we can understand someone teaching you everything. That's how you know, you taught it and then you forget it, and we understand that. So that's why they use that terminology, because they know people don't know anything about a soul, what it is, and you're not going to figure it out because you don't understand it. So they said it in those terms. And what I said is that the soul has an awareness, and it's shown what's going to be here before it comes in, and then it forgets that awareness. Because I understand a little bit about a soul, that's why I said it. And I explained to you that what they're saying it is because people don't understand it. So if you're going to ask me about something you don't understand, I can't explain to you what you don't see and understand. If you understand what the sages said, the soul is taught everything, fine. That's
No, but it's what you're saying. I'm just clarifying. So what you're saying is that once the soul comes into this existence in a body, it's blocked from its knowledge.
the physical blocks the openness of the soul.
So that's
Okay? It creates a problem. That's what this whole story is going to be about. About that journey. Anything you don't understand about that?
Well, if we can't understand what a soul is, of like what's the point even of learning about any of these higher level concepts? And you're saying like we're not even capable of.
This is a talk about a spiritual and soul journey. So you understand that. That's all. This is just this is according to
I said that we're going to go
version.
through it. Someone's explaining it as a soul journey into the body and what happens. So why don't you listen to everything that's explained? What you understand, you do. What you don't, you don't. It doesn't matter. It's a way of understanding it that someone does understand. So someone who knows what a soul is or is sensitive to it will understand this journey. And if you listen to it, you may understand parts of it as well. But if you try to figure out the first words, and you won't get anywhere because you won't be open to listening to the rest of the journey. So you have to listen to the journey and then see what you understand and what not afterwards. Okay? And the reason you need to be aware is because if you're not aware that there are things beyond your comprehension, you get stuck in what you're thinking or what you're feeling, and you have no way of getting out of it. So you have to be aware of all the different possibilities and ramifications. Whether you understand them or not, just be aware they're there. If you need them, then at least you know where to turn to. Okay. The coming of a soul into this world is called nisayon, a test. It's a test to see how it serves the Creator with a physical body. It also means something that is raised. As it says in the Zohar, the term nes means banner. The way it's used in the book of Isaiah, chapter 62, verse 10, raise a banner. The word nes. This means that when a person serves the Creator in this world, the Creator elevates the person like a banner. The chapter begins here in Genesis 22 with Vayihi, and the Talmud in Megillah says that Vayihi is an expression of pain. It's a great pain for the soul to come into the physical world. After these matters, after the soul is shown the various possible opposite end results, and is given the power to fulfill its task in this world, then Elokim Nisas Avraham, the Creator sends the soul into this world to create an elevation. The Creator calls the soul to the soul, Vayomer Elav Avraham. Avraham being the soul, so it says to Vayomer Elav says to him, Avraham calls the soul, and the soul responds, Hineni, I am ready. The Creator tells it to choose a body in which to enter this world. This is the meaning of Kach es bincha, take your son, referring to the body that was chosen or given to the soul for action. As it says in Genesis 1, verse 26, Nas Adam, we will make man. The idea of making. The word son in Hebrew is ben, and the body is a building, binyan. And the first two letters, the letters of ben, Beis Nun for son, are first two letters of binyan, building. Since through it, the soul is built up above. Through being in the body, it builds the soul in some way. The word bincha, your son, refers to the building, since a son also is the one who builds your future generations. Es yechidcha, the one you unite with, in unity. That which is one with or designated to be with you, referring to the body. The soul and body together become like a female and with a male in union. That's why when they come together, it's called yichud. Yichud is a term used when a man and woman are physically together, and the same thing when they're spiritually together. So soul and the body together is called yichud. That you love. The Chesed LaAvraham writes that the Holy One, blessed be He, sends an angel, a messenger, who's in charge of the souls to bring forth a soul. The Holy One, blessed be He, tells the soul to enter the drop of sperm and from this drop the body will eventually be built. He also tells the angel that is in charge of the treasury of images to take the soul there to that treasury in order for it to choose an image. The words that you love refers to the choice of image that the soul chooses, what the image it chooses to come into in this world. Es Yitzchak refers to the body. It's called Yitzchak, which means laughter and joy. In Proverbs chapter 31 verse 25, it says, she rejoices waiting for the last day. The soul has joy from serving its creator even in this world, but the body has no joy in this world from serving the creator. But in the future the body too will have joy from having served its creator. The body is thus called Yitzchak because of the future laughter and joy that will be at that time. When the separation between the spiritual and physical is taken away, then the physical will also appreciate why it was given a soul and how it had to serve the Creator. Otherwise, it has no joy from it. Lech lecha, go for your benefit to add through positive actions. To the land of Moriah. Moriah refers to this world. The sages give a reason for this world being called Moriah, since it's a place where heroic guidance will come forth for Israel. In the Zohar, it states that an awakening from below causes awakening above for good or bad. This means that the lower world gives guidance to the upper world about how to deal with right and wrong. So that's why you have stories about people who have passed away and they come to the heavenly court, and the heavenly court uses the souls of righteous people who have recently passed away to decide how to judge them, because the spiritual world doesn't relate to the physical. It needs people that are recently have been in the physical world to understand why people do things, and so it uses the souls of righteous people that have passed away in judgment of people of that generation. And elevate him from there on one of the mountains that I will tell you. The Creator instructs the soul to act in as many positive ways as possible until the body is elevated to a higher level. Elevate him there refers to the body. On one of the mountains refers to a higher level. We find the description in Derech Zutta of several righteous people who are elevated with their body to what is described as the Garden of Eden. Mountain refers to something higher elevated, not just in a physical sense, but also in a spiritual way. Yes?
You're talking in terms of the akeida11, going to the mountains of Jerusalem, the high place.
Mm-hmm.
That is the mountain you're talking about, to go to higher.
It's a higher spiritual level. There was no physical mountain there. And in fact, that's in agreement with what it says, that the land at that time was just a mishar, just a plain. There was no real mountain there. And in fact, if you come to the area, there are mountains around, so it's like you're looking down at it. It's a little bit about going up to a mountain is a little bit strange, but it says it was flat at that time. That I will say to you, meaning in whichever way is best loved by you. Saying, Amira is also an expression of love, and one serves the Creator with the attribute of Tiferes, beauty. Or it could mean that a person serves the Creator and does not know what level she has achieved, but after leaving this world, the heavenly court looks at the deeds of a person and concludes that according to those deeds, a person merits a particular level. This meaning is also meant by the words that I will say to you in the future, after you've gone through the journey and you leave the body. That's when you'll be able to understand it. So the soul being in the body not only forgets, but doesn't understand necessarily why it's here either. And only when it leaves will the soul have a clear understanding again, and the body at some point will have an understanding also when things change. So after the Creator directs the soul, which is called Avraham, to go into this world, it must comply. The sages in the Talmud in Yuma 38 compare life in this world to the shine of the sun. That's why the verse says, Avraham arose with the sunshine in the morning. Because the life in this world is compared to the shine of the sun. he saddled his donkey, referring to the soul. Nefesh is the lowest level of soul, and it's like a donkey in comparison to the highest level, Ruach and Neshama. Thus, the higher levels ride on the lower level. He took with him 2 lads. The 2 lads in Arav refer to the positive and negative inclinations, the Yetzer Tov, Yetzer Hara. They were both formed to serve.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did I just have a meeting here? I'm not Eddie's Sylvia?
Tomorrow night.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Good night.
No problem. And Yitzchak, his son, refers to the body that is the structure through which the soul acts in this world. Vayavaka atze ola, and he chopped wood for the elevation. This is similar to the statement in Isaiah chapter 58, verse 8, then your light will burst forth like the dawn. The Creator gives wisdom and understanding about how to converse with the positive inclination in order to elevate the body and soul to a higher level. Thus, soon after the soul comes into the world, this light of intelligence begins to shine in the intellect. Vayavaka atzeola, he broke forth. Advice for elevation refers to advice about how to elevate the body and soul. Sometimes you just know something. There's something that comes to your mind, or you feel it. There's a knowing of certain things to do it. You can be searching for years. How you're chasing, you want something, and suddenly it's just there. And that's how things appear to us. We just suddenly have the knowledge. How, why, it just comes from anywhere. Because the Creator is everywhere, and that direction will come to you only when it's time to come to you. You can't get it before it's time. And that's why a lot of people are frustrated, because they want to know the answer and it's not time for it. Or they want to do something and it's not time for it. I guess that's one of the lessons I had to learn in life too. I like things done in a certain way, I want them done in a certain time, and I don't know why it's not. It's because it's not time. And it may not even have to happen the way I think it. It'll happen in the way it happens. Vayelech el hamokim asher amar lo Elokim, and he went to the place that Elokim said to him. It doesn't say where that is, it just says he went to the place. The soul enters into this place or world as directed by the Creator, through that which is represented by the name Elokim. So Elokim is a name which they generally translate as God, but it doesn't mean that. It's a power of boundaries. It's a way that the Creator, it's a name the Creator uses to create different boundaries and limitations. And so whatever it represents at that, whatever limitation it presents at that point in time, parameter, that's what it is. By Yom HaShlishi, on the 3rd day, the term Shlishi is used in Exodus chapter 14, verse 7, to mean officers or controlling forces. A person who feels small does not see his or her own greatness. When a person sees that she can have control or power over things in this world, he or she begins to follow his or her desires, whether it be food, money, killing, etc. It often comes to a point where the desire controls the person, and the person does not control his or her desires. People often take positions, powers, they get there and it goes to the head. Through such behavior, the person becomes distant from the Creator, since they give more importance to the physical and less to the soul. Thus, by Yom HaShlishi, on the 3rd day, means when a person runs after the physical desires, the soul is unable to tolerate being in the body. And that's why you find people who are very sensitive to their inner self. They just cannot handle being here in this world anymore. They cannot deal with the physical. It makes no sense, and it's just too much for their sensitivities.
Are you talking about people who are suicidal?
I'm talking about people who are very sensitive. It could, if the question is, will it bring to suicide or not? Not necessarily. It brings to the feeling that you want to leave this place. You don't want to be here. Doesn't mean you'll suicide. Most suicides are created by medications that people take. It could bring to suicide, but usually not, because a person who also feels a responsibility, and so they want to be here for what they're here, but they just can't handle it. So it can drive them crazy. It can create a lot of problems, including suicide, but it's not usual. Suicide is an unusual side effect of it. It doesn't often happen though. Depression is probably would be more common, or going into yourself, becoming, just staying away from people, things like that would be more common. And Avraham lifted up his eyes. The soul called Avraham lifts its eyes and sees that the Creator is far, because the body is too attached to the physical desires. When the soul sees how far it is from the Creator, it sends messages to the mind or heart about returning. The soul begins to communicate with the positive and negative inclinations within in order to restore the connection. And Avraham, the soul, said to his lads, Na'arav, which are the negative and positive inclinations, Shvu lachem. The Hebrew word for shvu also means return. Return for your sake and benefit. Po, here. He said Shvu lachem po, here, means immediately, for the restoration has to be done now, and you cannot wait till you're old enough when you don't have strength to return and restore the connection. Ad kai, until so, refers to the divine presence, and we cling to it. We return with both inclinations together at auspicious times like Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh. The donkey reflects the negative inclination. Va'ani, myself, being the soul, and the na'ar, the positive inclination, will go to a higher level, ad kai, until such time, and remain there, but will return to you on Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh. So you have the lower level of soul, which is giving you life also week, and you're a deeper level that will only come to you at certain times, when it can sustain, or it can be here because of the light that's here. So whether you're feeling it or not, it's there on a spiritual level, which enables the soul to be here and more connected with you. Vayikach Avraham, and Avraham took, when the soul sees that the Creator is distant, then it reprimands the two inclinations and the body. And that's why you sometimes have people judging themselves. When they do not listen, then Avraham, the soul, takes as Atzei Ha'elah, which is the intelligence that the Creator gave on how to deal with the negative inclination. The intelligence is called Atzei Ha'olah. It's the intelligence and advice of how to become elevated. With the advice, it is able to have a victory over the body, called Yitzchak Bano, and is able to be stronger than the pull of body. So the word Atzei, which is wood, also means from Eitzah, which is advice. In a situation where the soul sees that it cannot be stronger than the physical, then it raises anger or agitation, as is mentioned in Psalm chapter 4, verse 5, agitate and do not sin. That is why it states, Vayikach b'yada, he took in his hand, meaning in his possession, the anger or agitation or power of fire, which is called Torah. If that does not help, he reminds it of the day of death, which is what machelos means, when you become consumed, when you die. Once the soul has found a way to convince the body, they go together to serve the Creator. And Yitzchak said to Avraham, his father, the body in relationship with the soul is like a man with a woman. Even though the body does not listen to the soul, it still desires that the soul should be within the body to give it life. You want the soul there, even though you don't care about it. This is what the verse states in Genesis chapter 3, verse 16, and to your husband will be your desire. The body, Yitzchak, says to its soul, called Avraham, Aviv. The term Aviv, my father, or his father, has the same root that spells the word Evyon, someone who's poor. Rashi in Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 4, states that a poor person desires everything. Therefore, the soul is called Aviv of the body because the body desires it and says Avi. It desires it for the life that it gives to it. The soul responds to the body, here I am, Bini. The body is called Bini as it's the binyan, the structure that houses the soul. The soul says, Hineni, I'm ready to answer your questions. And the body responds, here's the fire of Torah that you learned, and the eitim, the advice, meaning the intelligence and thoughts that you told me how to serve the Creator, and I serve the Creator. Where is the Sef elevation? The Lamb, or the gate of heaven. Haseh is numerically 310. It refers to the eventual reward that is given to each righteous person in the world to come. The body doesn't want to wait till you die and you go to the world to come in the future. It wants some of the reward now. The soul responds that regarding to the world to come, it says in Isaiah chapter 64 verse 3, it says, no eye saw God except for you. You acted for those who wait for him. If no eye ever saw it, how can you expect to get some of it in this world? This is what the soul says to the body. God will show you the reward for elevation of my structure, whenever it will be. So the body accepts it, and they went together quietly. And they came to the place that Elohim said, since the body, a negative inclination, accepted the words of the soul, they served the Creator and attained a great level. It is the place that Elohim was in when the soul was sent to this world. This is what it means they came to the place that Elohim said, which means the original place where they came from, where God or Elohim told them to go into the world, and they come back to that place. When a person goes in the right path and serves the Creator, they build an altar with the good deeds and thoughts and set them out before the Creator. And the soul built an altar and set up the eitim. The eitim are good thoughts and advice, in Hebrew eitzah. And actually, this is what it says about the future, that the future temple will be built from the good deeds and thoughts that we do. The energy that we do is going to creates a temple of fire in heaven. And that temple of fire is a temple that will appear when the spiritual and physical, the blockage between the two will be taken away. And that is the third temple of the future, the temple that we built through everything we do. He tied up the body, Es Yitzchak Banai, and served it to force the Creator. We find sometimes that the negative is stronger than the positive of the person. Then the only way is through Meseres Nefesh, self-sacrifice, whether fasting or other ways to break and weaken the body until it serves the Creator. He put him on the Mizbeach, on the altar above the Eitzim. He put the negative element above the altar of good thoughts, which is the advice, Eitzim. Or he put him, the negative causes him to mature, making him in a man. So it's a negative that causes the person to mature. Till now he did not consider himself as anything, as he was humble. And now the negative ego made him into a man. And that's a lot of times what makes us mature and grow up, experiences we have, whether we like them or not. Then the soul sent his hand, his authority and power. He took the machelas to slaughter the body. The soul caused all types of inflictions and pains that would remove the physical structure from this world. This is akin to using a knife to slaughter the body. And in fact, that's what it says about sickness and disease and forgetfulness before you die, that's actually spiritually, it's a good thing. Physically, it may not be good. Spiritually, it's good because it causes you to separate from your attachment to the physical, enabling you to go much easier on your spiritual journey when you leave the body. An angel of God called him from Shemaim. When a person has self-sacrificed for Torah, then in heaven they call out to be careful not to do anything wrong to this person. Vayikra Elov, the announcement in heaven that the angel announces is Avram, Avram, soul, soul. A righteous person afflicts himself in order not to have sins. As this is his attitude, it is difficult for him not to afflict himself, because he thinks that by afflicting himself, this will cleanse him. That is why he's called twice, in order to separate him from sin and his actions. The funny thing is that if you afflict yourself, you cause yourself pain in order to clear yourself spiritually, you're actually not doing what the Creator wants. The Creator wants you to work with the physical, with respect and care, to look after the physical, and you're hurting the physical. So even though you're doing something that may be good on one level spiritually, on another level it's no good. because you are inflicting pain. And he said, do not send your hand to the nar. The nar, fool, is the body that does foolish things. The messenger announces that he doesn't have to afflict the body in order not to have sin. It was all only a test to see if it can serve the Creator with self-sacrifice. Further tests are not necessary. Because I now know that you are God-fearing, and you did not hold back your body, which is your structure, or your body didn't hold you back from connecting with the Creator. So very often, what people think is what they need to do, what they think the test is, or what the challenge is, may not be exactly that. And if what you're doing is causing yourself pain or someone else, then that's not the way to serve the Creator. The way to serve the Creator is to see the Creator in everything, and that way it creates an awareness, an opening for it to channel. If you don't see the Creator, there's a blockage. If you see it, awareness creates an opening. Awareness of the soul creates an opening to be able to do things for the soul in a proper manner. If you don't have awareness, you don't do it. So, self-sacrifice maybe have been an issue at some point in time, as we're told about people who gave their lives away for God. They were burnt, they let themselves get killed in different ways. That is no longer prevalent. There was a period of time that such a thing existed spiritually. It does not include this time period anymore. The idea of fasting was something that people did to be spiritual. That's not the way, that's not anymore a proper thing to do. Now it's not about fasting, it's about knowing how to eat. Eating properly, not abstaining and putting yourself in pain. It's about how you look after yourself, not how you hurt yourself. So it's a little bit, although there was a period and idea of hurting oneself, that's no longer a spiritual thing to do. Yes?
So what do you do on fast days when there are fast days?
A fast day, when you're fasting from morning to evening, that's not a big thing. That doesn't hurt the body. The body actually needs times where you're not eating or you're not drinking, at least not eating. The body needs to cleanse itself. If you're eating all the time, you're not giving your body time to breathe. So having a fast day once in a while is not a big thing. A fast day isn't starving yourself. There's food. You're just not having it for the day. So your body can rebalance itself, cleanse itself. That's okay. But you don't go to an extreme. You just do it with a balance. You do it every now and then. You let yourself
No, I was
don't eat.
talking about the fast days in Judaism. There's certain
There are not many fast days in Judaism. There's only a few.
Okay. Okay.
How many fast days do you know?
Yom Kippur.
Okay, so once a year. So once a year you
No,
have.
but I know in other situations people used to say, oh, tomorrow is a fast day, so I'm not so familiar with the holidays.
What other people say has nothing to do with you. If people will say tomorrow's a fast day, they can fast whatever they want. That has nothing to do with you.
I thought there were more fast days than Judaism.
There's a few fast days during the year.
Okay.
It's not many. And Avram lifted his eyes, and he saw and beheld another ayil held in the svach by its horns. And Avram went and took the ayil and elevated it instead of his body. The power energy that he lost through self-affliction or deprivation weakened him in his service of the Creator. So the Creator exchanges one energy for another, as it states in Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31, V'koivei Hashem yachlifu koyach. Those who have hope in the Creator will have renewed strength. So there is an idea of losing your energy by afflicting yourself, and that's not appropriate. But for those who truly have a pure heart and meaning, then the Creator will change it and fix it up for you, bring a new energy so you can rejuvenate and go on further if you don't keep knocking yourself down. Some people love to knock themselves down, think that's the right thing to do, but it's not. Ayil means a power, as it's written in Ezekiel, chapter 17, verse 13. V'es ele haaretz lakach. the mighty of the land he took. So there we see the word ayel, ram, is used to mean powerful and mighty. The negative power is restrained basvach bakarnov, in the bush with its horns. The soul can take the power that is given to him in exchange and become elevated tachas b'noi, from one level to another, instead of the body which was the first structure used to serve the Creator with, until the soul receives a Holy Spirit and calls that place Hashem Yireh. The mountain of Hashem is a high level like a mountain. After that, the angel calls a second time to bless him, just as he blessed Avram Avinu. I will bless those who bless you and multiply your seed. So this is the way Rav Yeve interprets the story. I didn't elaborate on trying to explain. I just translated basically what he wrote. Obviously, there's a lot of explanation that may be needed to make it more understandable, but it's understandable also to some degree the way it is.
What is the rabbi's name? You said Rabbi.
He's known as Rav Yeve. His
Rav-
name was Yaakov Yosef.
Okay. No, Eliezer, A-L-Y-V-A.
No, Yeve, Y-E-V-E.
Yeve, okay.
Y-E-V. Y-E-V-E.
Y-E-V.
Yeah. It's Yaakov Yosef. That's two Yuds. Yud Yud.
Yeah.
Ben Yehuda. So it's got three Yuds in it.
And
It's hard to really pronounce. So what we have done is we have gone through the story of the akeida, shown how the words have more meaning than a physical mountain and a physical journey, the way it's normally said, that it's talking about a heart and soul journey, a spiritual journey that Abraham and Isaac went, which enabled them to receive the second soul that other people didn't have, Min HaShamayim. And this was now another commentary who explained that not even as a journey that had to do with a person called Avraham or a person called Isaac, it's just talking about the soul. It's talking about a soul and its journey. And this is a very fascinating thing, because when one actually studies the whole Torah in a spiritual format, in a Kabbalistic format, then all the physicality of it disappears. It could be, from looking from a spiritual perspective, that none of the stories that were taught in Torah ever happened, because the words have a different meaning and a different perspective. And it's very easy when you go into it to go that way, because it makes more sense many times than the actual physical story. So that's why the rabbi said you always have to study the simple interpretation, the simple story, and accept the story, because if you don't, you're going to throw out the stories that happened. Stories did happen. Things did happen. The fact that it doesn't all make sense, well, history doesn't make sense anyway. A lot of things we hypothesize, we don't know the details of people's lives, so the Torah is very general about what happened, but there definitely was a lot of these things happened. These things happened, but the Torah just doesn't give all the details. So you have to accept that there was a physical story, there were physical things that happened, there were emotional things, psychological and soul things. So even if you go into the words and understand the whole Torah from a spiritual level, and from that perspective, the physical never had to exist. And in fact, when the Torah was going to be given, the angels said, why are you giving the Torah to mankind? What are they going to do with it? Because the angels understood all these words, the whole Torah, on a spiritual level, in spiritual realms. It had nothing to do with physical. So Hashem said, well, how are you going to put on tefillin? How are you going to physically do these things? They can't physically do it. It wasn't a physical thing to them. So Torah has different levels. And this is one of the things that we've learnt in this journey of the akeida, is that the words do have different meanings and different perspectives, different ways of understanding it, and a person has to use it to grow within themselves and with their connection to the Creator. Okay. Any questions? Yeah.
I could feel whether it's imaginary, if it's there or not. Sometimes it seemed like you were getting frustrated with my not understanding or interpreting things the way I interpret them.
Okay.
Not interpret. For instance, in the beginning of tonight's
Mm-hmm.
lesson, when I said, why would a soul be taught something and then the knowledge, so to speak, disappears?
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, I'm on a level over here.
Okay.
You're on a level over here. And the more I was asking, I felt you were getting more frustrated.
I was frustrated because if you don't know what a soul is, then you don't know what you're asking. I can't answer a question when you don't know the terms you're using, you don't know what they mean. So in order to answer your question, I have to sit down and explain what a soul is, what the spirit is, how it works. That was not the intention of the class. And that's why I was frustrated, because I had no way of answering you unless I spend the class going into a soul and what a soul is, and what soul energy, what the spirit is, the soul, the worlds, and explaining that. So it's frustrating.
Soul and spirit two separate.
They're words. They're words. They mean absolutely nothing other than what you understand them to mean. Okay?
Could a soul get frustrated with the body that it's the life it's sent into?
That's exactly what the class was about. That the soul has a very difficult time with being in the physical. And it's not
My
easy.
soul must be really crazy with me.
Well, maybe.
With everybody, internal conflicts.
We all have internal conflicts on all different
It's an
levels.
explanation
Yeah.
for why this
So
exists.
if you get stuck on the word, then you're not dealing with the conflict. You have to understand we use words, but you can't be stuck on a word. You know, what is this word? What is that word? You can't. That's not that's not. You don't get anywhere that way.
But even if I want to get unstuck,
Hmm.
you can't do it.
You can't. It's not an. I'm not God, and I can't wave a magic wand to unstuck you. It takes time for a person to sit, analyze, understand what your blockage is, understand what your issue is. People ask a question and don't even understand that the words they're using is words that have accepted because the dictionary says, and who knows where the dictionary got its words from, and words that people use as colloquial or common terms, and most people have no concept of the depth of the words they're using and what they really mean. They have many meanings. And nowadays we use words, they have all the other meanings
Soul
except for the ones we
searching.
use them for.
Soul searching.
Soul searching, what does it mean?
Yeah, I know.
See,
No,
if you...
I'm just saying people use words, and I just thought of soul.
Absolutely. People use words all the time. So when you want to
Soulmate.
that's correct. Soulmate. A lot of times it's talking about
Soul.
you're kicking someone with your foot because that's the soul that you relate to other people. Okay, some soulmates are higher souls and some are lower souls. Okay, so everything depends on your intention and what you're meaning. So when people use words talking about soul, most of the time it's a word. So if you want to understand what a soul understands or what not, then you really have to know what the word means.
Could a soul be feeling? This is just hypothetical. Could a soul be feeling like, why am I putting? Why is a soul put into a body at birth or before birth?
What is a soul?
Spirit.
What is a spirit?
I don't know. I'm getting.
So what are you asking about soul and spirit when you don't know what it is?
The consciousness.
It doesn't matter. It's the energy and life force that comes into a body. Okay? Whatever that life force that comes into a body, what do you know about it? Nothing. So, how can you ask a question about something you know nothing about? I can tell you it's forced to come into a body. I can tell you it has a choice to come into the body. What difference?
Most people have maybe it's a misconception or a conception of what a soul is.
They don't have any conception. They don't have a conception of misconception. They don't have a conception. It's a term.
You have to ask the flex.
You know what I'm talking about?
You have to ask the flex to have soul.
Yeah. Soul music, okay? If you have the right music, it's soul music. That's soul, okay? It's basically, it's the life force that gives life to something. The essence. That's what it is. So when that life energy comes to something, it gives it life. When it leaves, the thing is dead.
Okay, so
It doesn't have that
when
life.
you mentioned the word angel,
Yes.
is an angel a different entity, so to speak, than the soul?
Absolutely. The soul, the life force that gives life to everything, is far beyond an angel. An angel's a messenger. It's an energy messenger. And people have this worship of angels and all this thing, and it's real strange. You know why? Because the energy that gives life force to a human being is much higher spiritually, from a higher source, life source, than the angels, than the messengers. But people don't understand that because they have a very limited vision, a very physical vision.
I I could probably relate to your frustration when people try to explain what they're feeling and they just can't get the words out properly.
When a person has a feeling and can't express it, the best thing is not to express it. Just say, I have a feeling, I haven't got words for it. That's all. That's the best thing to say, because that's being honest. When you force yourself to try and put words to something you don't know, that's not being honest.
Well, I don't know.
No, you just say, I have a feeling, I have no words for it. That is the truth. Now, I want to put some words so you can have some relationship to it, so I'll put some words. But that's not what it is. It's just to give you something I'm talking about. I'm talking about love. I'm talking about hate. I'm talking about anger. Now, does it tell you what type of anger, what type of love, what type of hate, how strong it is, what it is? No. But it gives you a relationship. It's a positive, it's a negative energy, it's a self-destructive energy, there's something you can describe about it, but that's not necessarily what it is. I'll give you some simple example. When someone has anger, okay? Now, is their issue anger, or is it an issue that's causing the anger? Anger is not the problem, necessarily. Anger is what eats up the person. Yes, that's the end result. But that doesn't mean that's the issue, okay? When someone loves someone or something, now the love it's a nice thing, but that's not necessarily what it is. It's something that's causing it. So how far are you looking at things? Are you just giving a description, or are you looking at the source of it? That source could be the soul, okay? The energy that gives life to the love, to the anger, to the frustration, okay? There's a reason behind it. So that's the life force for that. And that could be the soul, they call the soul, because it gives life to it. So can you describe it? No, you can't describe what a soul is, other than it's something that gives life to something. So when you're born, you have life. That life force that comes to you is called the soul. It's not a soul, it's not a piece that has a description of anything. It's the life force that's with you. When that life force leaves, you're dead. The body remains there. You call it a soul. It means absolutely nothing. It's a life force. It's what animates you, and when it leaves, that energy leaves, you're no more animated. That's what it is. And it has no description other than an energy. Yes.
So the frustration is physical restraint that's given to the soul.
So that life force that comes is very frustrated because the body restrains it. It can't do more than it wants to do more. It wants to get out of the body. It can't. It's like imprisoned in it for a period of time. And it may not even know why. It may not even understand. It's looking for a reason. Yeah, I know why I'm here, but I don't know why I'm here. Yeah.
So a person supposedly on their journey is supposed to be discovering what their purpose is here. And so when one does that, when one achieves that, then the soul works in harmony more so with the body and things happen. Correct?
That's correct. So we are on a journey here. As we go on the journey, we become more aware of why we're here, and then the soul can work in harmony with that awareness, and that can keep changing all the time. I'm here today because I have to do something today, and so My soul works with that. My life force works with that. And tomorrow I may be here for another purpose. It changes. So if you're open to that, to why you're here, to the journey, then you realize the purpose is not being in one place or doing one thing, it's going on the journey. And each part, each stop is a station. It's a substation. Yes.
So life then becomes one big mission impossible, full of challenges.
Yes, life is mission impossible, full of challenges, yes.
So a push into the body. Soul is pushed into the body.
So,
Has no choice.
the soul is pushed into the body, but the question is, how is it pushed into the body? It's shown something that it's desirable for the soul, so that makes it go to the body, and then it forgets what it is. And so it is now in a conflict.
I think the soul will go into more of a good-looking guy or a very sage.
What is a good-looking guy? You ever met one?
Physical? Is it
What's a good-looking guy? Huh?
The physical, or people.
The physical doesn't mean it's good-looking.
It's like an image that people are attracted to. You know, there are certain types of characteristics that people are more attracted to.
That's right. And so the soul energy, this life force is attracted, each one is attracted to different type of images, which you said as he translated. He's shown different images and chooses an image. And that's the physical that life force comes to something that has that emotional or psychological or mental composition, that image, which is natural to that life force energy, or unique to it. Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Forget about the word soul.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about spirit. Forget about life force.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the purpose of teaching somebody something like the Torah
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and then making it totally forget it?
Who said you're taught the Torah and you forget it?
That's where it's written in some books.
Who said that?
That's written in some books.
I thought you said that in the beginning.
And what did I say? What did I say in the beginning? Huh?
Just repeat it. That some rabbi
I
said.
quoted something that some rabbi said,
Oh, well,
and I explained that you can't take it literally.
You can't say that the Malach teaches the fetus the whole Torah, and when a child is born, you get that.
Yeah, they say that this, under the nose here, this is the angel flicks you here, and that's how you forget everything. It's a nice story of how this got here.
That's what we brought up. Yeah.
That's what the people are told as kids.
How does that explain how the Goyim have that same feature too?
Because they forget everything too. Everyone forgets everything.
I mean, so they're also taught.
Everyone is taught.
So that would mean that people with lesser indentation should be geniuses.
That's right.
I am a people too. They have
Absolutely.
souls. I mean,
Everyone has a soul, and everyone is part of a universal awareness of the Creator before it comes into a body, and when it comes into a body, it forgets it. And not only does it forget it, even if you remember it, your parents and family and everyone tells you you're crazy, forget about anything you're open to, don't listen to your intuition, block it out. You have to be part of the system we have. So if you didn't forget it when you're born, you forget it shortly afterwards.
Soul is what separates us from animals.
and I don't know if it's called Torah or everything, but I'm sorry if I did get you frustrated.
The
Not
frustration,
frustrated, but
look, stop harping on it. Stop.
Rabbi, is it a good thought? Is it a correct idea? Soul, however you want to, is what separates us from animals.
The soul,
Animals have a life force too.
everything,
A life
hold
force,
on,
yeah.
everything has a life force, and everything has a soul. An animal has a soul, the tree has a soul, the grass has a soul, a rock has a soul, everything has a soul. It has a life force that animates it, allows it to exist. And each thing has a unique life force. So it's true to say that the human beings, the